America's infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, and buildings are falling apart. Need $2.2 trillion just to make a dent in the infrastructure problem. Investing in rebuilding this country is going to solve a lot of economic problems, and I have Howard Nations with me to talk about how that's going to happen. Howard, the new report is that corporate America is now sending $3 trillion worth of money that they should be paying taxes on, that they're shipping that offshore. Now, these are the same corporations who count on our military, they count on our roads, to deliver their product, our streets. They count on our police departments, on our fire departments. The infrastructure that taxpayers pay for, these corporations benefit hugely from, but they don't want to pay taxes. They want to keep their money offshore, and as a result, our infrastructure is crumbling, just falling apart by every study that I've been able to see in the last 10 years. We're not responding, are we?
Not a bit, Mike. As a matter of fact, this failure to invest in infrastructure is a perfect example of the consequences of political gridlock in America. We know historically that investing in infrastructure gives us long-term economic growth, it creates jobs, it grows the economy, and it lowers costs of doing business for business at every level. We have to upgrade roads, bridges, and put people to work. The people that are working spend money as middle-class incomes, which expands the business consumer base. But they failed to pass this with the American Jobs Act. It's just totally outrageous.
Well, interesting. The material you're talking about, there's part of it at least came from the Center of American Progress. They did a great report on it, and they say that the businesses, they're quick to look to profits, but they're so short-sighted in understanding that they can actually expand their profits by building infrastructure because of the domino effect that when you put $1 into the economy, it's geometrically grows for small businesses. But you have big business like the Chamber of Commerce, who is siding up with only, historically has only sided up with a small part of the business community. Tell me where this is going to go as far as reinvestment. What can we do to reinvest money that actually moves into the pocket of business and American consumers by simply building our infrastructure?
Well, we learned a lesson from the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, where the Department of Transportation invested in infrastructure and created or saved 1.1 million jobs in construction and 400,000 jobs in manufacturing by March of 2011. Most of those new jobs were created in the private sector. The effect of it was improving drinking and wastewater systems, repairing bridges, repairing roads, rehabilitating airports and shipyards. An economic study showed that 12.3 jobs per $100,000 spent. Now, the Department of Transportation and Department of Energy spent $24.7 billion by September of 2010, which created or saved more than 3 million jobs. That's just historically a fact, and we see the value of infrastructure investing. But they're refusing to do any more of it. That one got through, but the American Jobs Act failed.
Well, I think this story, this report that came from the Center for American Progress, that's where you're getting this material. They followed this point by point, and they substantiate what you're talking about here, and that is we miss the idea. See, what we've been talking about is austerity in the U.S. We can't afford to build bridges. We can't afford to build roads. Right. I was just in Virginia this past week. Have you driven through Virginia lately? Have you driven through the potholes and the destruction of the roads is almost overwhelming? Why? Because government there won't put any money into infrastructure. They don't get it to say that if a person builds a bridge, you have independent contractors all over that area where the bridge is being built in that state that are making money. And then they're taking that money and they're spending it at the local businesses in their neighborhoods. I don't know what it is that American business can't seem to understand, but you had American business really fighting this until the U.S. Chamber of Commerce joined up with the AFL-CIO and said, look, maybe we were just stupid. maybe we were just wrong. Maybe those 19 companies that give us all the money, talking about the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, those 19 businesses that we support all the time, maybe we need to look beyond those 19 businesses and look for mom and pop businesses so we can help them do better. Isn't that what happened here?
It is what happened. And what they fail to see is that the highest multiplier effect of all the physical stimulus policies that you can have in government is infrastructure investment. The economist Mark Zandi said of every dollar of government spending, you get a $1.44 boost in the economy. A dollar of tax rebate, which is all about Republicans, you get a $1.22 boost in the economy. Before the recession, $1 billion invested created 18,000 new jobs, direct jobs, supplier jobs, and offered paycheck boosts to local economy. After the recession, the transportation department, by contrast, as opposed to 18,000 new jobs, when transportation put $1 billion in the federal highway system, they created 30,000 new jobs. 10,000 in construction, 5,000 in supporting industries, and 15,000 in induced employment. So the empirical data is there. Infrastructure creates jobs, increases production of small, medium, and large companies, and provides the highway and the power grids and water that businesses rely on.
Well, yeah, again, this is right here in black and white. This Center for American Progress report. Don't you think that everybody listening to this should find that report, Center for American Progress, and go online? We'll put it online right here on Ring of Fire. They can take that and they can send it to their senators. They can send it to their congressmen and say, look, what in the hell is it that you don't understand? Why do you keep talking austerity why do you keep talking about corporate welfare where you're giving gazillions of dollars to corporations and subsidies? You're letting them bank offshore. They're keeping $3 trillion offshore. There's no downside. And those same corporations are using our streets. They're using our bridges. Our military is keeping them safe, protecting them so they can do business overseas. It's allowing those corporations to go and, basically rape and pillage places like South America and South Africa, take the natural resources for what they want. The military allows them to do that, but they don't want to pay any money. You see, their opportunity, their position is, gee whiz, we're already paying too much taxes, which is a lie. Most of them don't even pay taxes, and then they avoid paying taxes by keeping $3 trillion offshore. When do we get to the point where they understand that putting money into the infrastructure makes money for everybody?
When the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, the president, Thomas Donahue, and Richard Trumka from AFL-CIO agree and call upon Republicans and Democrats to work together on this, that's earth-shattering, really. They agree that we need to do this. The American Society of Civil Engineers said we need $2.2 trillion over the next 5 years just to repair the crumbling infrastructure, which does not include high-speed rail, mass transit, renewable energy, all the things we need to free us from foreign oil and to fight climate change. But Mike, the thing that is most outrageous is that when the Democrats, President Obama, proposed the American Jobs Act, it was killed by Republican opposition. The Republicans wanted to see Obama fail more than they wanted to see middle-class America succeed.
But Howard, didn't it raise your eyebrows when we know, you know this for a fact, executive orders could have changed a lot of this. This president could say we're in an emergency situation. It's not only a national health issue, it's a national security issue. We need roads. We need bridges. We need to pump up so much of our infrastructure that we can at least say we're competitive in a world economic system. But there was no executive orders, were there? And if there were, I missed them. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. It was not an executive order, but it was voted down by the Republicans in Congress, and then the president did not follow through with executive orders. The idea was to spend $105 billion on infrastructure, which would have raised the economic output of the country by $151.2 billion. That's that big multiplier effect that they talk about that you get from investing in infrastructure. Just a quick update. $30 billion of that was gone to upgrade schools. $50 billion was for transportation, highways, highway safety, and passenger and rail and aviation. $9 billion was for intercity passenger rails and airport. And there was a $10 billion proposal for a national infrastructure bank that would provide loan projects for water, transportation, and energy.
It was, Howard, it was a win-win across the board
Totally.
for small business. And again, Congress, and I'm glad the president tried, but I'm saying there's some of this. If you look what Truman did, look at what FDR did and Truman to some degree, they used executive orders to make stuff like this happen. Howard Nations, thank you for joining me.